digital, analog, ham.
Right, hi everybody, it's Chris, 2E0UKH, and we're looking at DMR radios. And all these DMR radios, all the different makes, they've all got digital hold times for group call and private call, or whether it's a channel, programmed in as a channel, or if you're manual dialing in. And I've figured out which ones are which. So let's just examine what's going on the screen. We're looking at a radio, there's a conversation going on, there's someone talking here. I'm just going to zoom in. So there's no rush, I'm just going to... So there's someone talking there. Look up in the top left. Look up in the top left. Just grabbing a pen or something. So where DIG, where it says DIG and it's light blue, notice the colour. Because that is light blue, that means my digital hold is on. So they're not very long overs here, which is probably a good thing, but if they talk for over 5 seconds, that light blue will go to a dark blue, which means the digital hold has been released. So it's just gone from light blue to dark blue. Now these settings, these hold time settings, correspond to different settings in the radio, in the software. So you've seen it in action and you've probably never even noticed it. So let's take a look at the software. Right, so if you remember in the demo a minute ago, we saw the DIG indicator come up for 5 seconds and then go dark blue. That's because in the settings, if I go into the computer software, the CPS, that's because when you have a talk group programmed in as a channel on the clicker knob on the top, find the channel, key up and you go there, it comes under the category group call hold time, which is the top one. It's group call because it's a talk group, and it's the top one because it's a channel. And this is how I normally have it set, everything on infinite. It's not always a good idea, but that's how I use it because I don't do roaming. If you use roaming, you need these hold times a lot lower, or it can't disconnect when you move from one repeater to another. It can't release the hold time. So group call hold time, I had this set to 5 seconds, and that is why in the demo it stayed connected for 5 seconds. Person call hold time, this is if you've got a channel set up as someone's DMR ID, which is private call, you wish to call them, you move the channel knob on the top to that person's channel, you key up and it will call them. It will create a window that is open for this amount of seconds. So if you set it to infinite, it's best, because then it's not, if you set it for 10 seconds and then no one spoke for 10 seconds, that window would be shut and they'd be wondering where you've got to. So if you're doing a private call, it's best to have your hold time higher. So that's the top 2 sections, and those 2 correspond to anything that is a channel that you've programmed in on the channel knob on the top, on the clicker knob, or anything that is programmed in the list. So on the radio, going back to the radio, this is what we mean by list here. You've got a list. If you click list, it will show you a list of all the talk groups, and you can go to that talk group. Another way of going to it. So that and the channels apply to the top two on the computer software. Now on this 878 there's another two settings. We'll call them setting 3 and 4. So 1 and 2, we've explained them, they're for channels, and they're also for list when you go to the list. Manual dial group, talk group, hold time. This is for when you are, when you long press the 0 button. I've tried to drill it in, told as many people as possible, but on the Anytones, if you long press the 0 button, you can type in any talk group you want to go to. That is if you manual dial group, talk group, hold time is if you long press the 0 and you want to go to a talk group, or if you long press the 0 and want to call someone. It applies to these two settings, setting 3 and 4. So I normally have them set to infinite. Now if on the radio you go to menu, I'll show you. If on the radio go to menu then talk groups, that also applies to these two settings. So there's the overhead camera, menu, talk groups, manual dial. If you go in that way, that applies to the manual dial settings. Right, so just to prove that, just to show you it working, I've got it set up as a channel. This is a channel, this is USA nationwide, 3100. So if I connect key up just to get on there, you'll see it go blue, light blue, for 5 seconds, because that's how I've set it, so I can show it in the demo. It goes light blue, then it goes dark blue, it goes off. Now if I take it to another channel, it's best if I unlink, so I'll just wait for the activity to go so I can unlink. If I do a long press the 0, right, hopefully that's unlinked. Yeah, I managed to get my unlinking. Now if I long press the 0 and change to another talk group, so I've long pressed the 0, if you press the hash it goes from group call to private call. So if I typed in another talk group, I'll try and think of one that's not being, that won't be used at the moment. My keys are sticking. Did you see that? 2, 3, 5, 3. Key up. And remember, I've got it set to infinite. And what I'm hoping to show you is that where it says DIG, that will stay connected, that stay on infinitely. Whereas if I went to a channel, that hold time would be set according to the parameters in the CPS software for the top two settings for hold time. It's not complicated, but it's more complicated to describe it. So the basics of it are, if you're going to connect to a talk group, if you want to connect to a person and have a private call, you want to have it set for a fairly long time, you know, not just a matter of seconds. If you want to connect to a talk group, you want to have that set pretty high. You know, I have it set on infinite. But there's different settings on different radios. Some radios have no settings that you can alter. They're basic. That's why we like these Anytones, because you can alter everything on them. But I just thought I'd do a video on it because I haven't seen anyone explaining digital hold times. Okay, right, 7.3.